Fine. So we will be seeing, web, how to handle web lists today, and after that, radio buttons, set points, and all. Fine. So let's start and let's see how to handle the web list. Okay. In module 12, I will make a new class called web list. Okay, having the main function, right? And what we're gonna do out here is that we'll be going to the website quicker.com. Okay, and so out here in this website, you need to suppose select from this drop down. Okay, you need to select the value from this drop down. Okay. First, we'll see how to select the value from a drop down, and after that, we'll see how to extract all the values from this drop down. Okay, so let's start with the first one, that is um, okay. Um, Go to tools, Firebug over here. Right, it's okay now. So you need to open the Firebug and see the XPath of this drop down. The XPath of this drop down is this, and you see that the tag name for this is select. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I will go to my code and I will write these two lines the way I had written earlier. Driver equals to new Firefox driver, and driver dot get the site name. Instead of Gmail, I'll give the site name as quicker.com. Fine. Now what I need to do is that um, I need to fire the command driver dot find element by the X path and provide the X path of this drop down over here. This is the X path, right? And when I get this object, I have to select some city name from it. Suppose I have to select the name Delhi from it or Goa, right? So I will write over here after getting it dot send keys. Now send keys is used in case of input boxes as well as web list. For input boxes, it will write the value. For web list, it will select the value. Okay. You write the value over here. Oh, it is case sensitive. Okay. Remember, it is case sensitive. Right. So this is how I can select a value from a drop list. It's that simple. Driver.find element by the XPath. Okay. And give the value. Now the XPath has got star over here, and the element is actually a select. The tag name is select with an ID, category ID. So the category ID and this category ID match. Instead of star, I can actually write select as well over here. If I don't write select, it will work. That's not a problem. But it's better that you write the select. That is the input box, it's a select box. Okay. So now let's run this code. It's gone to quicker and it has selected Goa. See that? Right? Now, what you need to do is that you need to print all the values present in this drop down. Okay? You need to get all the values present in the drop down. Right? Now, before that, okay, if you look at the select box and you expand this, all the select boxes have got an tag called option. Okay, the option tag has the values like see all India, Ahmedabad, and all the cities in India basically. Goa and all, everything, Goa with a selected. So everything comes in an option box, in an option tag. Sorry. Okay? Even if you go to some other website, okay? For example, I go to the site ebay.com. Okay. On this, I have got this drop down, right? So if I use Firebug on this drop down, and I move my Firebug over there. This is the drop down. It's again a select. All the drop downs have got the select tag. Okay, and if you expand this, see, all the options are present inside the option tag. Okay, so that means that all the options inside the select are present in a option tag, and I want to retrieve the value of each and every option tag. Okay. So how do I do that? For that, you have to use the command. I will write web element, my drop list. I give it the name drop list equals to driver dot find element, not find element. Sorry, sorry, yes, find element by the X path, and this is the X path, right? Okay, so I will import the web element class. Now web element drop list equals to driver dot find element by the X path, and the X path is of the select box. Right now, the thing is that you need to actually find all the options tags inside this drop list, right? So you need to find all the options tags inside the drop list. Okay. Now, if you write over here drop list dot, okay, you will get a command called find elements. That is, inside the object you can find an object. Okay, inside the drop list, find element by the tag name. Out here I've got a lot of stuff I was telling you yesterday, right? Link text, ID, partial link text, name, tag name, XPath, and one of the option is tag name, right? By the tag name option, right? That is, find all the tags inside the drop list which are having the tag option, and find all the elements. It is not find element, but find elements. Okay. Now, if I have found the elements, right, how do I store it? I cannot write like this. Web element x equals to this, because web element is just one web element. Out here we are finding many web elements. So if you look at the return type of the find elements, okay, the return type is a list. Remember array list, right? In module number 6, I guess, collections API array list. So it returns the type of array list. So out here you write list of web elements. That is, import the list. That is the web element option. That give it a name. The name of the list is options, right? So the find elements function returns the list, and that list holds the objects of the type web element. That means that the list will be holding, the list would be something like this, and that would be having various locations, and okay, so each location will hold a web element, and this will be a list, a web list. Fine. So now, um, how do I actually print the value of each and every option? Okay. If I write over here system.out.println options dot size, this will give me total number of web elements in the options array list. When I run this, and you see the output, see it is printing 41. That means that there are 41 elements in the array list, and so there are 41 elements in the web list. Okay. Now, how do you print the values of this web list? You simply write over here a for loop. For int I equals to 0, semicolon, I less than total number of elements in this array, that is options dot size. Okay, and I plus plus, right. Okay, and inside it you can write web element O is equals to options dot get I. When I is 0, the first web element will come, I is 1, second web element will come, and so on and so forth. And after extracting the web element, you write web element O dot get text. Very simple. That's it. This will print all the options. When you run the code, so I'm in the for loop, I'm extracting each and every web element, okay, present inside the array, and from that each and every web element, I'm printing the text. If you look at the console output over here, which just came up, see, I get all the city names from the drop list. I printed them. Okay. Now instead of writing say 2 lines, I can also write 1 line. Very simple. That is options dot get I. This will bring a web element from the options array list, and from that web element get the text. Right? Okay. Now you run this. This will again print the same output. Still running. Okay, let's stop it and run it again. Okay, let's run it again. Right, it is running now. And if you look at the output, it has printed all the elements again. Right? Now, if you actually spy this, okay, Then each option has a value. You see that? Each option has a value inside it. The value of the option is this, and the text which is visible to the user is this, right? What is using Selenium? You need to print the value. Fine. You need to print, extract the values. All right. So what if I need to print this value? Similarly, on quicker.com, if you look at the options, then the select will have got options and each option will have a value. It's not necessary that you get a numeric value always. Maybe your developer can assign a non-numeric value as well. Okay. So how do you extract the values? You simply write the command. As I'll print the text as well as the value corresponding to that text. You give the command options dot get I, right? Dot get attribute. Now, what is get attribute? Okay. Attributes are something which are specified along with the tag. You see that the option tag starts from this conical bracket and the conical bracket is ending over here. So whatever comes along with the tag is known as an option. For example, is known as an attribute. Select is a tag here, ID is an attribute, style is an attribute, right? Name is an attribute. Okay. So these are all attributes. Form is a tag here, ID is the attribute, on submit is again an attribute. Right. What if I have to find the value corresponding to the value attribute? So you will write from this option get I dot get the attribute in double quotes. You specify value, that is from the option get the value. This will be my option, and from the option I'm asking it to get the value. And out here from the option I'm asking it to get the text of that option. When I run this code, along with that, all the values are also printed along with the names, right? So this is how you work with a web list. Okay? I don't think so you'll ever require to do anything more using a web list. Okay, now let's move further and see how to handle radio buttons and all. Okay, the selection items, right? Uh, for that, I will actually take a already built-in code and I will explain that to you. But I will not waste time in making the code. Right. How to handle a radio buttons, right? How to handle radio buttons. For example, I'm going to this page. Keys and it's on the page, right? You must be knowing this stuff obviously. And from each group, you can just select one value, right? Now, if you look at your Firebug, and if you inspect all the three elements over here, milk, butter, and cheese, this is the first one, and this is the third one, right? Now, don't go by the X path here. The X paths are very long. Okay. If you look at the code, the HTML code which is it is showing, okay, input type equals to radio. That means it's something radio button is declared like this in HTML. Input type is radio. The tag name is input and the type is radio. Okay. Value is milk and the name is group 1. Okay. The second one is input type is radio. Checked equals to, I will come on to this check later on. Value is butter and name is group 1. Okay. The point to note out here is that all the radio buttons, okay, all the radio buttons of the same group, of the same type, okay, will have the same name. For example, milk, butter, and cheese all belong to the same group. Okay. Now you go to any website, any web page, radio buttons belonging to the same group will have the same name. Okay, but each will have a different value. Cheese, butter, and milk. Right. Similarly, if you go for water, beer, and wine, okay, then these are the three radio buttons for that. The name changes to group 2. All the three belong to the different group, that is group 2, but they have a different value. Wine, beer, water, beer, and wine. Right? Now, what is this checked attribute? The checked attribute says that uh, whether the radio button is checked or not. If I write checked in front in any radio button, that means by default it will be checked. Okay. Now, using Selenium, you can find out which radio button is currently checked, which is not, and you can also check a radio button. Okay. So first, if you look at this code, I hope everybody is clear with the HTML code. Input type is radio, and with every radio button, you have a name and a value. The name is same for the group, and the value is different for each radio button. Right? Okay. Now, if you go to the code for radio button says that first navigate to this website, right? After that, driver dot find elements by dot name group 1 by dot name group 1. Why? Because I am writing driver dot find elements by name. When I find the elements by name group 1, I'm gonna get three elements. I'm going to get three radio buttons, right? That's why I've used the command find element, not find element. Now, what find elements return? It returns the list of web elements. Okay, and I have captured the list of web elements of this, and I have named my list as radio. Okay, so what this list will be having? This list will be having all the three radio buttons. The first web element, it will be having three web elements. Each web element will be a radio button. Okay. Now, in the next line, I have written system.out.println radio.get0. That is the first web element. Dot get attribute value. Okay. Now, what is get attribute? I just talked about it. Get attribute is used to print the attributes associated with the tag name. Okay. The tag name was input, and the attributes are type, value, and name. If I have to extract the value of the attribute value, then I have to write this radio.get0.get attribute value. Okay, and along with that, I am getting the attribute checked as well. Okay, so this attribute checked will tell me whether the radio button is checked or not by default. Okay, now I'm gonna comment this much of the code and just run the one which is uncommented. So what this will do, this will navigate to the site, extract the three radio buttons, milk, butter, and cheese, and it will print their value and the property checked, whether the radio button is checked or not. So when I run this code, right now I am not concentrating on testing. I'm just concentrating on how to handle web pages and web elements with Selenium. Okay. The code is over, and if you look at the output, then the output prints milk null, butter true, and cheese null. That means by default, butter is selected in the page. See that? Because the checked attribute value for this butter is true. That is, you have the checked attribute over here, right? For the other radio buttons, you don't have the checked attribute. Who gives this? The developer assigns this, right? Now, what if I have to check it? I have to click on milk or I have to click on cheese. Basically, I don't want butter to be checked, right? So you use the command radio radio.get0.click. That means from the list of web elements, get the first web element, that is get the first radio button and click on it. So this will click on the first web radio button. That is the, I think, the milk one, right? And after clicking on it, I have printed the three lines again. That is, I have printed the value and the checked attribute. Okay, so basically for butter it will come true now, right? Sorry, for milk it will come true because I am clicking on milk, right? So let's run this. So when you run this will see it's milk got clicked, right? By default butter was selected, now milk is clicked. And if you look at your module 12, you see that this is the attribute values for value and checked when the page opened. After clicking on the mails, these are the values, right? So if you want to know which radio button is selected by default, you can use the attribute check, right? Or after clicking on a radio button, if you want to test whether it is actually being selected or not, you can again get the attribute check, right? So this is how you handle radio buttons, right? This practically um, ends our module number 12, right? And I don't think so there's anything more to it, right?